virtual reality gaming. You know, at one point in my life, I actually dreamed about playing Half-Life Alyx. That VR fever eventually led to my pre-ordering of the Quest 2, and that's where Virtual Brando began his journey into all sorts of games and experiences. I haven't really kept up on that sphere of things though. While I do know that the hardware continues to advance, my disconnection from the VR games news cycle makes it feel as though VR has hit the proverbial wall. So I've taken a bit of a break from locked-in regular VR gaming, my thinking that if anything truly bombastic really does get released, I'd hear about it and return for something beyond my usual Beat Saber burst sessions. Now, something totally did, but it was only available on Quest 3, which I do not have. But you know what? It got me jonesing for something to play, and I was reminded of this review from Habby147. Vertigo 2, The Other Boneworks. When I first watched the video, it struck a chord with me, so much so that I actually bought Vertigo 1. Had to play the first one, right? Finished that. Good game. A little bit short, very unique. Enjoyed it. Overall, what I realized recently, though, is that I totally spaced to play the sequel game that the review actually recommended. So, to satisfy my current jonesing, I purchased, downloaded, and started into Vertigo 2. Yet unfortunately, due to the whims of the universe, I have been consistently too busy for it. So this video is almost 8 months in the making. Slowly but surely, I have played it, made it to credits, and my thoughts have coalesced into this video. If you're new here, I'm Brando of TheNameBrand, and I dive into games once a month. Today, I take you with me as I reminisce on my journey through Vertigo 2, and hope to answer the question, is Vertigo 2 really The Other Boneworks, as Habby147 claims? Along the way, I'll give you a nice little review of the overall game too. Vertigo 2 is a single-player VR action-adventure game, originally released in 2023 to PC VR. Developed by Zach Chickalis Brown, it fares great user reviews and has garnered a nice following of fans, many of which are not hesitant to recommend it. At the time of writing, it sits at 96% overwhelmingly positive on Steam and a strong 79 on OpenCritic. Comparisons are dumb, but to give you a proper idea of the aesthetic of this game, here's one. Vertigo 2 feels like something wholly adjacent to a game Valve might have made, if they did one on an indie scale. It's a journey through secret labs and strange worlds, accompanied by a few talkative characters, human and otherwise, with some quippy bits of dialogue from time to time, and some arguably fantastic pieces of humor throughout. The guns all have fun reloads and mechanics and are all very satisfying to shoot at aliens and robots. Combat encounters at times can be exceptionally difficult in hectic skirmishes, the most challenging of which will see you using every weapon in your arsenal to overcome the odds, especially if you're up against any of its bosses. The main game will see you traversing through 18 different chapters, almost all of which will shake up the environment you're in and the enemies you faced as you attempt to find your way back home, while perhaps saving the universe from certain and uncertain multi-dimensional dooms at the same time. And that's the short of it. It's overall a fun game that continually surprised me around every corner. But let's really break into a few aspects, nitty-gritty style. My biggest praise for Vertigo 2 is actually its humor. It's everywhere.
Alcohol while shooting. Well, relax your muscles. That's pretty good.
Karishi and shatter the church. Stand aside or be crushed.
I would die before allowing you desecrators into the...
He said.
Forward to the church!
All right.
Contains antimatter, a material known to the state of California to cause cancer.
This is all stuff that's so in line with my sense of humor, I couldn't help but think of my own unpublished sci-fi comedy works and how in line the two of these are. It's not always funny, though. It commits to being cool, wondrous, or even scary, to my dismay.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get scared.
No! 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 Whoa! 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 Oh. Run! No, they're all after me! No, no, die!
I'm not low, you're low. I'm not low, you're low. Open the door!
I hate this. I hate this so much.
When I was a kid, I watched that episode of Magic School Bus where they went inside of Arnold, and it ignited a fear response in me that I've never truly forgotten. I hate this. Invader Zim did an episode where they did this. Didn't like the Magic School Bus. Ooh, SpongeBob. We have got to get out of here. Really this just irks me so much on so many levels. If I go to the freaking brain, I swear to you. Why are you afraid of the inside of a body? I don't know, it's freaking the scariest place that you could possibly be.
What did I say? What did I say?
Man, I hated every second of that.
Oh boy. But for every moment I spent freaked out and panicking because I got bum rushed by some jump scare type monster, there was always some kind of light humor around the corner that made my suffering on that front end all worth it.
This is where I need to go. Oh, it's hot dogs! It was like, what is going on? Okay, so apparently the sausages! The sausages from Hershey Hot Dog Hamburger Helper grenades!
Other praise I have is for the uniqueness of every idea in the game. The monsters look nothing like anything I've ever seen before. The plant life and vegetation similarly follow suit. The characters and environments, also pretty unique. The art direction with all of these details makes Vertigo 2 feel like the interdimensional adventure it's trying to be because of how original every idea is. I really appreciated that attention to detail. Now for a double-edged sword. The environments are massive in scope and scale, which accents their realism in this fictional universe. Many of them, as mentioned, have unique themes and undertones to them depending on the chapter you're on, and I appreciated that a ton. The feeling of openness is a detail that consistently is nailed throughout the entire game, which really assists it in feeling like a big budget PC VR game. However, I also consistently found Vertigo 2 was inconsistent with hiding its upgrades and secrets in these environments. The early game I found was a lot worse with this. I'd be presented with a fork in the road. No objective markers in this game, so you just gotta pick one way. Going that one way, turns out, it's the correct way to go for the story to progress, so I'd be locked out of going the other wrong way.
This game is the worst at this, man.
So this makes me paranoid. I'd make it to the back of some room just to find out that, yep, this is a room, baby.
I've gone the entire game. I've looked in nooks and crannies, and it's mostly like the levels look like this. So it's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to find over there?
The vastness and freedom to explore such vastness adds to the realism, but my paranoia in trying to find all the upgrades did have its moments where it wasted my time. Now, they're not game-breaking by any means. Some give you an ammo counter or a scope, but some of them do boost your damage or make it easier to reload, so it's painful to me that I'm assuming I missed a number of them. The game does pride itself with being exploration focused, and even one of the loading screen tips mentions that there are 8 secret guns in the game. Yet even with as thorough and paranoid as I thought myself to be as I combed through these environments, I didn't find one secret weapon. I attribute this to either intentionally or unintentionally finding myself going the right way most of the time. So on that front, I think some refinements could be made to the game in order to help the way to your objectives feel more linear, and thus make all the environments more easily explorable. Because I, for one, would love to find all of Vertigo 2's secrets, but I definitely hate wasting my time going through areas that are just set dressing. I really do love the minimal, HUD-less style that the game is going for, which contributes to my sense of adventure, but admittedly without an objective marker or compass, or perhaps even a little more creative polish. I don't know what areas are worth exploring for secrets versus those that are not. By the final handful of chapters, I just turned my brain off and went where I thought the game wanted me to go, and that was that. Now, of the weapons I did have, I took a liking to all of them. And I did enjoy many of the firefights I got into with all of the creatures, robots, and bosses across the game. The guns are all kind of wacky takes on real gun archetypes: pistol, automatic rifle, hand cannon, grenade launcher, railgun, shotgun. It was always a joyous occasion whenever I had obtained new ones. I leaned into preferring a few, mainly the revolver for its precision in long distance, but leaning into using my trusty few didn't detract from my fun. All of the weapons have unique reloads too. Far as favorites go, can't go wrong in saying the experimental railgun definitely has the sauce.
Oh! Daddy's got a new toy. Good gosh. Yes.
I also appreciated the few times Vertigo 2 gives you a choice. Your decisions don't branch into a totally different ending until the last one you make, but I appreciated being able to pick and choose a few scenarios which changed the narrative of that chapter slightly, and I'm assuming even affected a few of the weapons I acquired.
Whoops. I might have chose the wrong side of the war. Maybe.
The game's got New Game Plus, and the few variable scenarios are definitely tempting me to immediately start replaying it just to see what else is given to me in picking those other options. So, A+ on that front from me. Despite my flavorful arsenal of weapons and elite gamer skills, I found myself struggling with a few sections in the game. Sometimes the enemy density went a little too crazy, or maybe I'm a little too committed to my favorite rotation of guns, or perhaps I'll play a little casual and safe. During these times, it didn't help that, for my entire journey, I forfeited one of my 3 inventory slots for the smartphone, which allowed me to pretend to stream to a fake audience.
Security robots. I gotta vlog this. Hey guys, it's me. I'm out here with the security robots that are gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. And this is a status update. I'm stupid and I'm gonna die and I'm gonna kill. Check this out. We're flushing toilets today.
And also take stunning selfies of my committed war crimes at every stage of my adventure. Very fun, very worth the handicap. With time, and unfortunately an embarrassing amount of it occasionally, I overcame my combat struggles and found that I could lock in and defeat these particularly difficult encounters, which were often boss-type enemies. The locking in usually involved the VR equivalent of Doom Eternal-type weapon swapping and copious amounts of teleport-based melee wave dashing.
Like, genuinely? Whoop. Just die.
All while trying to keep my cool, which did not happen sometimes. For the most part, the bosses were a fantastic addition to this game and added some welcome variation to Vertigo 2's gameplay loop. Now, I mentioned earlier that I picked this game up from Habby147's recommendation, and that he classifies it as the other Boneworks. If I were to agree with him at this point, or even disagree, you'd have no idea how to quantify that because we haven't discussed Boneworks. So, soft pivot for a second. I love Boneworks. As far as must-play VR games go from me, it's up there. Probably even top 5 on a good day. There's something unspeakably beautiful about Boneworks, in particular, how the game is ultimately better than the sum of its parts. On paper, it's a VR-centric physics engine with a hastily made single-player campaign wrapped around it. It'll be remembered for its mods, unfortunately, but I love it for that single-player experience. Where the story and exposition are weak, it makes up for it with rich lore. It excels in its player interactions and handling of physics around objects and the environment, but at times, that's also its greatest fault. The journey through the unfinished MythOS city at face value is arguably one of the more boring game environments ever made, and you fight perhaps some of the more bland enemies you could ever conceive. Yet it all works in the context of its world, story, and game interactions. Your journey through it and your interactions with the objects within it make it memorable, makes you feel things. I look up through the vast open spaces at the system clock nested in that time tower in the distance, getting ever closer with the progression of the story, and I feel the dread of this world. This all supported by a game soundtrack that easily clears as being one of my favorite of all time. Every component comes together and works to make something greater than the sum of its parts. And with all that sauce, the sequel game, Bone Lab, is somehow my least favorite continuation of a video game of all time. But that's a video for another day. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to know my thoughts on that. Boneworks is a game that works on many similar levels as Vertigo 2. They both are compared to Valve games, for one. Also, each has mysterious world building, a set of weapons to play with, and a sprawling journey, all of which leads one to believe that they are cut from the same style of action-adventure cloth. To a degree, they totally are. But to call Vertigo 2 the other Boneworks, I'd say that's a touch incorrect. Mostly because, as previously said, comparisons are inherently dumb. Both of these games have strengths and weaknesses in completely different areas. But from the perspective of a game, the truth is, I'd call Boneworks the other Vertigo. In terms of being a complete game experience, Vertigo 2 clears Boneworks and Bone Lab by almost every metric, and it's hardly even close. Now if you know me, that's big talk. But I think it can all simply be boiled down to this. Boneworks was built to be a tool. I love it as a game. But it very much was created to be a utility in making physics-based objects in a virtual world. It's a fun tool, but I think this is why it is so popular in the modding scene. Because it is ultimately a tool. Now it does have a good game attached to it, and overall, it was designed extraordinarily well by geniuses of the craft. I mean, we're talking about some of the best physics of any VR game on the market even today, so many years after its initial release. But it is undeniably just an exploratory step for Stress Level 0. The game part being fantastic, IMO, is a lightning in a bottle type of happy accident. Vertigo 2, on the other hand, was made to be a fun, feature-length game. Every weapon interaction, every quirky joke, weapon feel, environment, it was all made to be this game, this single-player experience. And it has been executed almost flawlessly at every level. This fact alone is astounding for a VR game, right? But would you believe me if I told you that the entirety of Vertigo 2 was made by a solo developer? Barring the story alone, which he attributes to creating with friends, and I guess there's the hired voice actors. Zach Chickless Brown made every model, every gorgeous piece of accompanying original score, and every graphic in Vertigo 2 over the course of 6 years. Not only that, but he published the game at 22 years old, as his second ever game brought to market. That is absolutely bananas in the best way possible. When I learned that, it just blew me away. I couldn't help but look at the game in a completely different light. Every minor gripe I had along the way, still reasonable, but I mean, this is mind-blowing to think that every decision in this game was made inside the mind of a single person. Just wow. Just wow. The fact that we're even comparing Vertigo 2 to Boneworks, a game made by one person versus a game made by a studio that had at least like maybe 10 people actively working on it, is beyond crazy. It's almost unbelievable the amount of detail and thought put into every aspect of Vertigo 2 if you even allow yourself to compare them. So that said, will I drop Boneworks and just play Vertigo 2 when I need that VR FPS fix? I don't know. It's a different vibe. I might for a while, maybe to earn the rest of the weapons and such. Perhaps to answer the question definitively this time, I wouldn't call Vertigo 2 the other Boneworks. If anything, I'd call Boneworks the other Vertigo 2. That's the level of quality and fun you can expect here in this game. Now, it's not a great comparison in either direction anyway, but there's that question answered. And just like that, I've been converted into a fan of Zach Brown for the rest of my life. Probably the rest of his life. Godspeed, my friend, and whatever project you make next, I'm there for it, day one. Speaking of other projects, what will you do after you beat Vertigo 2? Well, there's DLC. Starts immediately after you complete the base game. Hardly even feel a difference. You play as the scientist, Brian. I thought it was good. It didn't blow my socks off, but it was more Vertigo 2, and I appreciated that a lot. Beyond that, the game has user-generated content, so you can download maps and scenarios to help you play the game endlessly. This, on top of, after you get bored of New Game Plus, of course. While I won't be hitting my $1 per hour guarantee in time for the publishing of this review video, it theoretically could receive that honor at a later date. I could definitely see it getting there with how replayable it's been built to be. So, take that for what you will. Performance is great, by the way. I ran this just fine with my setup. My game on your screen definitely doesn't look amazing because my computer right now isn't entirely up to date. I'm kind of bottlenecked on my CPU for the time being, but I had a wonderful time playing Vertigo 2 in my headset and did not have any FPS or stuttering issues. Ultimately, I can't help but recommend you play Vertigo 2, and I consider it to be a NameBrand product. This is easily among the best VR games ever made, and is certainly on my must-play list if you have access to PC VR. It has an excellent blend of exploration and gun-based action, a nice dash of humor, and overall has very few shortcomings that are easy to look past in order to experience the game's defining moments. If you don't have access to PC VR but are interested in seeing this game played through, I recorded myself playing all of Vertigo 2 with commentary for the most part. I'll be working on throwing that up on my second channel eventually, so check there if that piques your interest. Consider also reading this review on TheNameBrand.co. Join my Discord linked in the description for video updates. Okay, thanks, and goodbye.